Yo, I hope you're having a great morning. This is a story of how I got charged one time. I actually got the charges dropped. It sounds intense, but really wild story. So a couple of years ago, this is back when I was doing like pranks and stuff, I went to Blue Mountain with my friends, and I went on like a friends, family trip kind of thing. And this was just right around New Year's. It was like 2022. Beginning of 2022. We went on New Year's Day, and then we were there till 3rd of January. So we were at a place called Blue Mountain. For those of you that watch me and you're in Canada, you know Blue Mountain. It's like a ski resort. So I went with my best friend, and it was me, my best friend, and his brother. So we went out for lunch, and then we came back to the hill. And if you've ever been to Blue Mountain before, they have like a parking lot system where it's like one way. And the cars, when you're coming looping around trying to find parking, it only goes in like a one-way motion. So if you pass the spot, you can't go back technically if there's cars behind you because it's a one-way. So we went out for lunch, we came back, and this was on the last day. So we'd already been there for 2 days. This was on the last day, and we were about to go back on the hill. And we were trying to find parking. So we're coming around this corner, and we see this parking spot, and this guy's just standing inside the parking spot. So I rolled down my window. I'm like, hey bro, is it okay if I park here? He's like, no. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm saving a spot. I was like, well, you can't save a spot. You're not a car. What are you doing? So this guy decides to stand in the spot, and me and my friends are like, yo, like, move out of the way, bro. Like, we want this spot. We're like saying to him, like, hey, listen, there's a lot of cars behind us. The traffic's backed up. Can we just have the spot? And he's like, nope, I'm not giving you the spot. I'm saving it. I was like, well, you can't really save a parking spot by standing in it. Like, that's just like not fair. So eventually it got to a point where cars were beeping because they didn't really understand what was going on. And I was like, okay, this isn't enough. Like, it's already been 2 minutes and the car hasn't come around. Like, you can't save a spot. So I start saying to him, like, listen, can you please just give us a spot? Like, it's not really fair if you're saving the spot. And he just won't budge. He's like, nope, I'm not giving you the spot. I don't care. And it got frustrating because there's this pressure of all the people behind us. And we're also trying to get on the hill to ski. Like, we don't have time to be sitting around trying to get this spot from this guy. So this nice couple comes down from the chalet, and they're like, hey, you know, we're just behind. And they were like 2 spots behind us, or a spot behind us, something like that. And they were like, yeah, like, if you... And they said, if you will let you, like, pull in to at least, like, let us come out, then you can have our spot. So we asked the guy, and we're like, hey, man, can you just let us please, like, back into the spot? And then I'll give you the spot. Like, I don't really care. This other couple will let us have a spot behind us. Or I think they were next or something like that. I can't really remember. But they'll give us a spot. This guy's like, nope, I'm not doing that. I don't care. So now it's like, okay, it's already been like 5 minutes, which is a long time to hold up everybody else. People are yelling. People are like, get out, like yelling at him. So what ends up happening is I'm like, okay, listen, I'm sorry, bro, but I need to take this spot. You can't save the spot. So my friends put down their windows, I put down my window, and I start kind of reversing. And he's like at the spot, and he's like just standing there. And we're like, bro, we're backing up. You need to get out of the spot. And this guy just won't move. So I'm like, bro, I'm going to back up the car. I'm please asking you to get outside, get out of the spot and let us back up. This guy just wouldn't move. He was like standing on business. He did not care. So this guy decides to stand in the spot. I start backing up a little bit, and I drive a manual, so I had it in reverse, and I was like bleeping the gas to kind of just like scare him, but I wasn't really moving the car back. I just had my foot on the clutch and the gas, and I was just bleeping the engine, or beeping the gas pedal, and he still wouldn't move. So I was like, all right, bro, I'm letting you know I'm backing up into the spot. So I started backing up into the spot, and this guy like stands there, and then I back up again, and this guy like jumps onto the window. I'm like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, like, after he like falls into the window, this guy winds up, boom, smashes the windshield. Like the whole windshield shatters. I'll put up a picture of the windshield.
You want to break my windshield?
We get security to
You get sent to the fucking hospital.
lane is blocking all the
Don't
traffic.
fucking break my windshield.
So then me and my boys are like, bro, I literally look at my boy. He's in the passenger beside me. I look at my boy and I'm like, we look at each other, boom, hop out of the whip. So we hop out of the whip. And then this guy, I think, was in shock that he was able to break my back windshield, like this one right here. And then he sees me coming. So then he puts up his hands and starts running at me. And we run at each other. And then we start going to town. So I'm in my snowboarding gear. I got my snowboarding boots on, snow pants. This guy's in Yeezys, track pants, and like a thin coat. And it's like prime winter time. Like, this is January. So like, there's a lot of snow. We have our snowboarding gear on, sorry. So I'm like, I bet. So me and this guy, we start going at it. And I just start taking him down. And we ended up getting into like a consensual fight. And unfortunately, like the ambulance had to get called. So this fight breaks out. I'm like, shit. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of like 16 people of like his group pull up and surround us. And I'm like, oh, bro. Like, what am I gonna do? Now I gotta fight all these people. This is crazy. And like me and my boy and his brother's there, and we're all just like, no shot. We're about to fight these like 16 people. Like they pulled up out of nowhere. And now at this point, because there's all these people that are trying to park, this fight starts breaking out, the windshield's smashed. And this was like prime time around the chalet, like everybody was going for lunch. So people start surrounding. And people just saw me like getting the upper hand, like he was on the ground and I was on top of him. And unfortunately, I was just defending myself because he got into a fight with me. Like when I hopped out of the car, he came running at me and he was kind of like in a shock. So this girl, this lady, all of a sudden, eventually the cops and the security start coming. The security comes and then the cops come. And then this lady, like, because she saw us on top of him, starts like saying to the cops, like, this guy was kicking him in the head. This guy was beating him up. And she starts giving a witness statement. And this is after like the situation's ended. Basically what happened was like my boy pulled me off of the guy. I kind of got off of him. He was kind of like bleeding and stuff. And I got out I got off of him and the ambulance was called. Somebody called the ambulance. And then the fight was broken up. And all his people started yelling at me like, you hit him, you hit him, you hit him, blah, blah. So all of his friends started yelling at me and my boy saying, you guys just punched him, blah, blah, like making this whole scene. So everybody thinks that I'm the one who like just beat up this guy for no reason. But really this guy smashed my windshield and then he came at me and I was defending myself. So the cops come and this lady gives a statement and she starts saying like all this stuff, like how we kicked him in the head, we were kicking him, da 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 da. We stomped on his head, all this stuff. We never kicked him once, and it was a consensual fight. And she started saying it was one way, and this guy did nothing, and all this stuff. So then the cops were there, and unfortunately, he kind of got a little injured, and he had to go away in an ambulance. But all his friends and this one lady who said she witnessed the whole thing gave this absurd witness statement saying that it was completely my fault, and I was the one who did everything, and I kicked him in the head. So at the scene, the cops had to arrest me and they charged me with assault causing bodily harm because he went to the hospital. And this went on for a year. And I had to eventually hire a lawyer. And eventually it got to the point where there wasn't enough evidence to where he like suffered, because basically if, I might be wrong, but if somebody is charged with assault causing bodily harm, if somebody has any damages, then they proceed with the charges. But unfortunately, because of this lady giving like a false witness statement, they decided to charge me with assault causing bodily harm because he was kind of injured at the scene. But he didn't really suffer any like real injuries or anything severe, but he was bleeding and he said his head hurt, so he had to go to the hospital. But this ended up going to court, and there wasn't enough evidence to prove that I caused any assault, like causing bodily harm. And it turned out that it was a consensual fight, so the charges got dropped. But this went on for a year, and the court system is ridiculous. It's crazy itself, but yeah, this situation went on for a year, and I had to like make sure like, you know, nothing happened. But yeah, the charges got dropped. I got a criminal-free record, and I was completely fine. But it sucked. It really sucked because this lady really tried to put me as the suspect and just frame it all on me. Like, this guy literally smashed my windshield. We tried to compromise with him. We told him we were backing up, and then this guy smashed the windshield. And I'll throw up the clip of the windshield in this video. But yeah, it was really crazy. I won't put up the guy, but yeah, he was an idiot. I don't know why he decided to do that. And I just had to defend myself. But yeah, this went on for a year before the charges got dropped. And yeah, I was really glad that happened. And this was when I was at a time like trying to do pranks and stuff, but I couldn't do any pranks because I had the charges. So yeah, this is kind of just a story of when I got charged. But luckily for me, like, the charges got dropped and I have a criminal-free record. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the story.